And look, we still don't know exactly how many foreign criminals have been released from immigration detention or how many are subject to reporting requirements and monitoring via ankle bracelets. Under those new laws that have just passed the Parliament but are already being challenged by activists in the High Court, some of the detail is missing from the ministers because it's been a week of buck passing and contradicting. Home Affairs Minister Clare O'Neil and her offsider, Immigration Minister Andrew Giles, went to ground today. It was left to a spokesman to confirm that there are now 111 foreign criminals released into the Australian community. But the spokesman couldn't say how many of these were actually subject to monitoring or wearing ankle bracelets, just that the implementation, quote, is continuing. In other words, the government is still playing catch-up. And this same government, the same government that didn't anticipate losing the High Court case, that had no plan B in place, that first denied legislation was even possible, let alone necessary, and that then needed the opposition's help to make that legislation tough enough to be credible. Well, this is the same government, the same ministers, the same Department of Home Affairs that's now in charge of trying to ensure we don't get potential terrorists coming to Australia amongst the 800 plus Palestinians out of Gaza that Labor has just given visas to. Yesterday, Foreign Minister Penny Wong was adamant that proper security checks, she said, had or would be done.
People are subjected to appropriate security checks. I would again say this. People who obtain visas to Australia are subject to appropriate security checks. People who obtain Australian visas are subject to appropriate security checks.
But as the former Prime Minister Tony Abbott said here last night, how can you do security checks on people living in a war zone where there are no Australian officials to do them?
As far as I'm aware, there are no Australian officials whatsoever in Gaza. None. So I just wonder how this could possibly be correct.
And according to information right now on the Department of Immigration's official website, you can apply for a visa out of Gaza or any of the occupied Palestinian territories online. In fact, you don't even have to do it yourself. As the website says, close family members can apply on your behalf. What's more concerning to me as I went through the detail needed to apply for one of these visas to Australia is that no great security information or clearances are required. Indeed, it says in black and white on the website that you may, just may be asked to provide information like a police certificate or sign a stat dec, but none of that's mandatory. Even if it was, though, do you really think the Palestinian Authority is going to bother telling Australia that applicant X or applicant Y is one of the terrorist supporters? No, I don't think you do either. And these visas are being issued to people coming from a place where some 75% have support for Hamas and also support what happened to Jews on October 7. Today, the Prime Minister was asked, how do you ensure these people are aligned to Australian values and are not anti-Semitic? Anthony Albanese's response was, these are the same security checks that are in place for people, for Australians that have been in this place under this regime for a long period of time. Now, these would be the same checks, PM, that didn't stop people coming to Australia, hate preachers and others who revelled in the Hamas slaughter, standing out as they did protesting on the steps of the Opera House.
When the stones and the trees will speak and say, "O Muslim, there is a Jew behind me, come and kill him." This is the day! Allah! What are we waiting for? Allah!
If they get on with those sort of checks, doesn't fill you with much confidence, does it?